Abre los ojos para ver lo que está pasando.
What's up? What's up? How's it going? How's it going,
Good.
Danny?
Doing good, doing good.
Cool,
Just another
cool.
Wednesday.
I know, right? We're at episode 29. We're almost gonna hit 30. Hey,
Yeah,
getting there.
just
Yeah,
stacking up.
yeah, they're stacking up. And if you ask me, they've all been great.
You're a little biased, but
Yeah, a little bit,
yeah,
but they've
I
been
agree
great.
with you.
No, you know what? Like, because I do listen to some other podcasts, and I think I've said this before. It's like I'll be hearing it, and then I'll be like, hey, "That's what we talk about." You know what I mean? Like, so it's
Mhm.
like we're on the right track.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because um, you kind of learn at what levels, at what stages they started to wake up.
Hmm.
And surprisingly, I mean, and it's not talking bad, but you and I have been talking about this for a very long time, way before COVID.
Yeah,
Um, and it's kind of surprising how people have been waking up lately. Especially COVID. COVID was a big wake up call for people,
hmm,
kind of get them out of that trance that everybody's been in. So it's nice, it's refreshing to see that, but it's surprising at the same time that so many people woke up recently in the last couple to a few years.
yeah,
Uh, and, and we've been talking about it for a long time amongst us,
yeah,
not in this format.
dude.
Uh,
I remember like, yeah, it's been a while, right? The first time we even like even the little like, oh, we should have a podcast. Like, even that little comment was like, yeah, a while ago for sure. And
yeah,
then, you know, well, now we got, you know, it works out now where we can do this. Sometimes work, like we said before, work gets crazy sometimes, but at least we're doing this, we're committed to doing this. So it's been going good, the conversations have been good.
yeah, and it's comfort level too. I mean, I've never done anything like this before, and um, it was a
Yeah, you just
little awkward in the beginning for me, anyways. Just
mhm.
getting it started and stuff like that. But when you have good intentions, you gotta nut it up and give it a shot. And I knew that we were gonna start getting a little bit more comfortable as time went on and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
good.
No, yeah, it's good. Um but yeah, no, there's a couple like two or three stories, I think like three stories that I saw during the week that I thought were interesting. Um, I think we'll start with the first one, the Chinese lab. I want to start with that one because I think the other two stories are more positive, more good news if you ask me. Um, so maybe a lot of people didn't hear about this, but in Reedley, California, which is about I don't know maybe an hour or so at the most from where I'm at. Uh, they found an illegal Chinese lab, right? And it was kind of found by chance. I believe a building inspector was going by, noticed the hose, and that building was supposed to be abandoned. So they went by, checked it out, and apparently in that building they were making COVID tests. They were making pregnancy tests. They found 1,000 mice. I'm assuming they were experimenting on. 200 of them were dead. They found vials of fluids, blood, and I think other things too that they couldn't even identify. And it was shut down in July, so I guess it's been something that early July that you know they've been investigating.
Hmm.
So you know it's it's crazy because it's so close, right? And then it makes you wonder, okay, they were doing COVID tests, right? And in a legal lab, they were creating COVID tests. Like, how many of those COVID tests got out?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? How many people use those tests? And I don't know, maybe got a false positive.
Yeah. And at the same time, how many of these labs are out there too?
Right.
If they're producing X amount of tests, someone might dismiss it and go, it's, just one instance, but what if there's a lot of these? And how long has this been open?
Yeah.
Has this operation been going on since the beginning of COVID?
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
you got to take all those things into account and factor them in. So it brings up a lot of questions, even more questions than before.
Yeah. And yeah, that's one of the biggest questions is that I think it's like how long has it been going? You know, because
Hmm.
like did it contribute to the pandemic? Right? Did it make numbers worse? Um, and then also, with all the rats or mice they were experimenting on or testing things on, it's like what were they doing? You know,
Hmm.
um,
Were
there's
they
a
going
whole
to release something else? What are they working on?
right,
You
right.
um, um, a gain of function, lab. This is an underground gain of function lab. I mean,
Hmm.
that's where uh, the COVID-19 came from Wuhan.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. Think about that. So if there was one in Reedley, California, there's some in China that are legit, on the up and up. How many of these illegal ones are there across the world?
Hmm. Yeah. Across even this state, right?
And
This
where's the
state.
money coming from to fund them?
I don't
I have
know.
a funny feeling that it's our tax dollars that somehow are funneled, through different channels, organizations, and end up funding these illegal operations.
Yeah, because if I remember right, when COVID was going on, Newsom did use funding. Was it to like Chinese? I don't know if it was corporations or whatnot, but like to buy tests or to buy masks. Like he did it through a Chinese company. So it's like, it just makes you wonder, did they know about that? And it something that just, they kept on the hush, right? Because the whole thing with COVID was like, oh, we had to make tests to make them available for everybody. And it's like, well, who I'm just gonna assume it's been open since then. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, and then they're making pregnancy tests.
Without clear answers, that's the only assumption that you can make.
Yeah. So I just thought it's crazy because again, it's so close, right? You know, even city wise, it's close, and then you're talking it's in your state, which is kind of like, all right, why is this Chinese lab in our state? Why is it in our country? You know what I mean? Like you start to think exactly what you said. It's like, where else is there one? You know,
Hmm.
that building's supposed to be
And
abandoned, and if it was just getting ignored, and just by chance some guy noticed the hose, you know, how long would it have been there?
damn that guy, he ruined everything.
He ruined their plan. They should
Yeah.
put that hose
Well,
away.
part of it, yeah, part of it. But then it brings to light the border crisis.
Hmm.
Like now, stories are coming in about all the um, military age illegal Chinese, people, guys crossing the border. So how many of those are working in labs like that?
Hmm. And yeah, like you said, they're all military age guys. So it's weird, man, because like I think we've been talking about it when it comes to the border. Like again, they make it such an emotional type of conversation to where people don't want to grasp or look at the full picture that it's not just Mexicans, it's not just Hispanics, Latinos that are coming up through the southern border, but other people, and I think we've talked about it before, the amount of people on the terror watch list that they've caught, the amount of
Mm-hmm.
Chinese nationals that are coming through there now, and who knows, a lot of people that probably don't even have good intentions, right? But
Yeah.
they're coming through because they got people so hung up on one group and that emotional aspect that everybody else just comes in just to appease. the minds of some people.
Yeah. And this is the other aspect to it too, is that so the question is, what were they doing there, right?
Hmm.
So was it, you can say it's bio warfare, right?
Hmm.
Whatever they were working on. It so this is something very serious. It could be, depending, if they're Chinese, this can be considered like a military threat,
Yeah.
or engagement. I don't know what the correct term would be, but if that's what they're doing,
Hmm.
this can't be something that can just be minimized or overlooked and
You
say,
can't just sweep
you
it
know,
under the rug, so to
you
speak.
can't. You
Hmm.
have to take the the the
It's serious. The seriousness.
the seriousness, um, the national, what would it be called?
It's
Um,
well, it'll be a national security issue, right?
yeah,
Because you don't know
exactly.
what
That's
they're
the word
doing.
I'm looking for. So it's a national security issue, and it has to be addressed as such. So let's see how it's not being addressed that way. Is that I hadn't heard about it until you brought it up earlier today. That's number one.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's coming out on national news. I haven't heard it. I hear all kinds of different news, through social media coming up. I didn't hear about it.
Yeah.
So where did you hear it? Did you hear it through like a corporate?
I heard it first through kind of some social media accounts I follow, like conservative accounts.
Okay.
And then when I actually looked it up, Fox did have the story on it, but I couldn't
Okay.
really find it anywhere else other than other like smaller like news sites and stuff like that. But I haven't really seen it in mainstream. So yeah, they're
Does
not
it
talking about
does
it.
it sound like they're taking it serious? Does it sound like they're taking it as a?
The article just said that they were the FBI and I forget who else is doing an investigation.
Oh,
So
great. The FBI. They're gonna find out everything.
yeah, so it's just when I look it up, it's just a bunch of like local
Mhm.
websites, news sources, but not a lot of national uh national news on it. So yeah, it's something that's been pretty quiet. I mean, right now, obviously they got the whole other Trump indictment that's distracting
Isn't
everybody.
isn't that funny how that works? Is all these things are big things are happening uh, around the country, big news,
Hmm.
but the one thing that they focus on is the indictments, the
Yeah,
paper indictments. There's nothing to it,
yeah,
and this one's gonna turn out just like the other two.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, right? We talked about it before. You get if you want to know how close we are to being a communist country, it's like you got the guy in charge using his Department of Justice going against trying to take out his top political candidate, right?
Yeah,
So
political opponents.
that in a sense kind of leads to the other thing that I had, that the New York Times did a poll, and you gotta, any mainstream media poll, you gotta leave yourself a little bit of you know room, because chances are they're not gonna tell you the whole truth. So
And I would say you got to leave yourself a lot of room. When I say a lot of room, it's like a big ass room.
yeah, so this is the New York Times recent poll, and it has Joe Biden and Donald Trump tied at 43% each, right?
Hmm.
So, with that, taking that into account, they get you that plus minus error. So yeah, that is probably to put them
More
this close
like
or tied.
70
Trump's
to
probably winning.
30.
Yeah. So, they put out a poll, let's just say they're tied. Let's just say, okay, they're telling us the truth. It's a tie.
Okay.
You know, what is it? And you're indicting the guy that's tied with the current president. Like, that should be opening everybody's eyes. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
it's like, okay, well, what's the purpose of all these indictments, especially if let's say Trump broke the laws, right? That they're trying to charge him on. It's like, well, why did they wait basically prior to the election year when all this campaigning starts? Like, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's we know it's politically motivated, but if let's say if they're saying no, it's not, okay, then why'd you wait so long?
But you got to pay attention to who's saying it's not. So
Hmm.
it's mainstream media that's saying it's not. I heard about some polls about Democrats, what they believe if it's politically motivated, all the indictments, and the majority is saying yes.
Hmm.
So we go back to the same thing. It's all the bullhorns for the politicians that are saying that it's not politically driven, but everybody else is saying that it is, even the Democrats.
Yeah.
So it's about time where I hope people, if you were in the shadows thinking that you were the minority because all you heard from mainstream media um, is that you were the minority, right?
Hmm.
Start realizing that you are the majority, and now you can start and stand up and speak up and talk about it freely. It's no longer time to be in the shadows. It's like I can go to my neighbor right now, and I know that he's going to agree with me that it's politically driven. I'll go
Hmm.
across the street with the other neighbor, and even though that they're super liberal, they're going to understand that it's politically driven. At this point, I'll go to the other neighbor that I don't even damn talk to, and he's gonna agree that it's politically driven because it's all in our faces. Everything's coming out.
Hmm.
They can't hide it anymore. Straight
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's 100% true. And then just kind of, you know, as you were saying that, I was thinking like, and just in general, right? Like people in general should just, not be afraid to speak up about things anymore. You know, it's like it's one of those things where I think we're way beyond that point, right? That where people are, trying to speak up, they're trying to, stay quiet about things or not ruffle any feathers. It's way beyond that point. And if you feel that way, it's like, look, you have the majority of the evidence is on your side. It's already come out. You know what I mean? If you believe, you know, Trump wasn't racist, if you believe COVID wasn't as bad as they said it was, like all these other things that people spoke about, that these laws, these mandates that they were doing weren't constitutional, that the vaccine wasn't all it was hyped up to be. Like, you should be able to speak up about that and not be afraid of backlash. You know what I mean? And I think
No,
that
you can't be in the shadows anymore. Last episode we talked about Jason Aldean not being canceled is because he won't allow himself to be canceled. We're
Mhm.
canceling ourselves by staying in the shadows and not saying anything. So you know that time is done and over with. And if you still are, you still need a little bit of time to fully wake up from the slumber.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true, man.
So
And
check this out. As I walk through restaurants, stores, and stuff like that, and I see people with masks, um, they're the minority now. It's completely turned around.
yeah,
It's complete 180, man.
yeah, it's crazy, and it's crazy when you still see them, huh? Like you just kind of go, "Oh wow, okay."
It's very few. It's very few. It's like now, I was thinking about this. Is I was like, there's very little bumper stickers, with Biden on them. Bumper stickers on, and I feel like, and I have one neighbor that has one,
Hmm.
and I'm tempted. It's gonna get to the point where I'm like, "Hey, are you ready to take that bumper sticker off?" Like, oh, you're making yourself look really, really bad. Like, you should take that bumper sticker off, man.
That's funny. I was behind a truck the other day that had one too. But that truck had like all the Democrat stickers, It had
Oh,
Obama, Biden. It had Hillary and what was his name? Kane? Was it Hillary Kane? And then it had Biden, Harris. Like I was like, oh man, dude, like still,
deep sleep.
yeah, it's deep sleep. So
He's hibernating or she's hibernating in that sleep.
no, but I think it's encouraging because people are speaking up more, and they're gonna continue to speak up. More people are gonna use their voice.
Mhm,
Um, I had a like a random thought that I think would be cool to do, but try to involve some other people is if we can get like different people on the podcast like at once. Um, I was thinking like if you do like a quarterly show from this November till next November, to the election, and you get as many people as you can on that show, and you're just kind of going over whether it's some of the ads you're seeing, um candidates and all that, and then that way you can speak about different topics leading up to the election, so that in a sense you can do what you can to like inform people better, you know what I mean?
mhm.
I think that was like a random idea I got, and it's like see if we can make something like that happen, because I think it'd be useful, and then especially if we did it in Spanish, something like that too. But it's kind of random, but I just I think
Yeah,
it'd be a good idea.
yeah, no, something different, something involving other people's thoughts and opinions. That's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think I think the reality of things, if you kind of like we've talked about before, when you see it, Trump is ahead. They say that he's tied, but without a doubt, he's ahead. That's why they're doing all these indictments, right? They're
They're
trying to
doing
reach
a lot
for
of
anything.
things.
Hmm.
They're doing a lot of things. Look, do you think it's coincidence that Hollywood's on strike right now, and you don't hear anything from any Hollywood celebrities anymore?
Mm,
Isn't it convenient? Sound of Freedom, is out there, and they're kind of calling out Hollywood for not speaking up and agreeing and backing the movie and stuff like that. Isn't that you know a tale, kind of a pattern? They're kind of hiding behind the strike.
that's a pretty good point. It's a pretty good point. Because yeah, when Trump was in office, they wouldn't shut up.
Oh yeah, um, someone that I used to like is Bobby D, uh, Robert De Niro, and stuff like that. I like his
Oh yeah,
movies.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he started going bonkers and wanting to punch Trump in the face and just completely. He went full retard. on It's like a lot of these people just went full retard, and it ended up working against them. We ended up boycotting them, canceling them out. So
Yeah, yeah. And until yeah, I mean, like you said, Sound of Freedom is the prime example, right? Because you got that movie. Um, I think what other movie came out recently? It's supposed to be big. Uh, I think one of the Mission Impossible. Uh,
I didn't hear anything about it.
yeah, I didn't hear anything about it.
What I did hear about it, okay, so I got a pretty cool story about that.
Okay.
So, and I don't know if I said it. Stop me if I said it on another podcast, but um, so a friend of mine from work, that he was neutral. He's like, I don't get into politics, blah blah blah. And before COVID, I was talking to him about, and he's Hispanic, right? He's Mexican American, like we are. And
Hmm.
I was talking to him about all the different points of view, little tidbits. So I was giving him like a little,
Little
brain,
piece of the red pill.
yeah, a little bit of the red pill and stuff like that. And he wasn't having it. And I would we would agree to disagree and just move on and talk like we've always talked and stuff like that. So long story short, um, after COVID and all this other stuff, he comes and tells me hey, damn, you were right about that, and stuff like that. Oh, you were right about what Trump was trying to do here and there. So, anyways, he starts flipping on me, and he ends up taking the red pill, right? So, um, we start. I didn't even bring up the movie Sound of Freedom or anything like that. He just goes, "Hey, have you heard about that movie?" And I go, "Yeah, yeah, I already watched it. It's good." He's out. Well, I was gonna watch it this weekend, and it was sold out. And I go, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, it was sold out. I was looking for all the different show times and stuff like that. I even took my kids. He's got like a 16-year-old son and I think like 12 or 11-year-old son." And he goes, "Yeah, man, it was sold out. So we went to go watch something that was available." He's also, we went to go watch a Mission Impossible. And ended up watching Mission Impossible. It's like they weren't even going to go watch Mission Impossible. Is that Sound of Freedom was sold out, and he checked all the different show times, and I think it was for the whole weekend. I think it was Saturday and Sunday that they couldn't get a show time for it.
I think last that I saw was they were at 150 mil. I
Uh,
think that they've made, and they're not even. I don't even think they're in all countries yet, and they weren't even in all theaters to begin with.
no,
So
very very select few theaters.
yeah, so that like again proves the point. Who's the majority, right?
They're afraid, man. I heard a story that earlier in July last month, early July last month, there was some sort of dinner where Obama was there, and he was speaking on the the political pull that Trump has right now.
Hmm.
Is that they were concerned about it, and if they're concerned about it, it's a big problem
Hmm.
because usually they try to minimize it and go, "Oh man, he's way behind on the polls. He's not
Yeah.
going to be able to do that." And that's how they started off this time around too.
Hmm.
So now they're changing their tune, in the way that they're talking about it.
Even Biden, because I think uh, one of the other numbers I had seen was that early in the summer there was a lot of Democrats that weren't happy. According to the polls, that weren't happy with uh, with Biden, and then now all of a sudden, a couple months later, his improvement rate has gone up. Just in time, the people
Mhm.
are happy with Biden all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So it proves that they they're worried, and they're gonna do what they can to inflate the numbers, um, misreport polls, and have people thinking. I think they want to. What is that word? It's like when they do that, it's like they want to demoralize people, right? Not get them to the point where they feel like it's worthless, it's pointless.
Mhm.
Trump's behind 20 points, whatever. You know what I mean? It makes you think, damn, there's no point. He's
Mhm.
even if I go vote, right? And again, we've talked about it before. It's like you can't have that mentality. You can't let it get to you because if you just straight up just abandon the fight, so to speak, then they did what they wanted to do. You
Well,
played
it
into
kind of
their
goes
hand.
back to that point that I feel like I've always made, is that when these stories come out, they want that negativity, they want that divide and conquer situation going on. That's why my mind always goes to what the angle is, what the positive is, um, in a situation or in a story. And someone was saying, okay, there was that one time where the you were saying that the Chicago mayor, when all that crazy stuff happened recently,
Uh-huh.
that we shouldn't be blaming
The
or
kids.
condemning the young minorities or whatever that were out there. And
Hmm.
it's like we gotta flip it. We gotta be like, yeah, you're right. It's on you guys.
Hmm.
So and then they have really nothing to, you know, um, divide and conquer us with, other than us, the people, and them, the politicians that have been in power. That's where the divide should really be.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not with the citizens, not with the constituents. It's like it should be between us and the politicians that haven't been doing their job for a very long time.
Yeah, they've let the people down, and
Mhm.
they, you know, they haven't, you know, there's no rule of law, so to speak. So those kids see that, okay, our city allows this. Here we go. You see videos all the time of guys or people going into the stores, right? They grab stuff and run out. It's like you see those videos all the time. There's a pizza shop right here by my house. People broke in, try to take the TVs that they had hanging up there, and they got them on video. And the guys are, there's two TVs, two guys. They're pulling them down, and one guy basically just bends a TV, doesn't even take it because he couldn't get it dismounted. The other dude dismounts it but doesn't even take it. You know what I mean? Like, cause I don't know if he broke it or something broke off of it. So it's like they went in there, smashed up this business's door, tried to take the TV, didn't take either of them, and then they leave.
Mhm.
So it's like, but that's the society we're in, right? That lawlessness, that people are just doing whatever they want to do and they get away with it, right?
Well, okay, so this is what I've heard from places where you can open carry or conceal carry, right? So this is the way that they describe it, right? So you go into a donut shop in the morning
Hmm.
and see a person that's open carry. Everybody's open carrying, and everybody is the nicest and politest people around, because it's not because they're afraid of each other. It's because they know that there's going to be law and order.
Yeah.
Whether it's a police officer or civilians. So if someone goes in and starts, harassing people or trying to rob someone or something like that, it ain't gonna happen. You're gonna have if you're being a criminal, there's gonna be citizens. They're gonna be pointing, their firearms at you, and you ain't gonna get away with it. So you're gonna have the most polite
Hmm.
citizens in that area, straight up,
Yeah.
and it's gonna go either way, whether you're armed or you're not armed. But there's gonna be people that are gonna hold you accountable, whether if you're being a thug, a criminal, or whatever you want to call it. And
Yeah.
then where that's not being enforced, forget conceal and carry. Let's say that it's not likely in the county that you're in because they make it really difficult. So you know the people that are unarmed are going to outweigh the people that are armed, concealed and carry. So that's why you have those situations where people go in and act like thugs and just smash windows, try to do a smash and grab, and are stupid enough that can't even take what they're set out to take, like what you just described. The
Yeah.
likelihood of that happening is very minimal if there's law and order.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what they want. It's the lack of law and order, promotes thugs going around and just smashing and grabbing. Period.
Yeah. And I mean, and at some point, right? It's gonna be a news story. Someone's gonna run into the wrong store, or into the wrong building, into the whatever, right? And you know, we'll see how they flip that, right? Because I'm pretty sure that we both can like. I understand that from here until the next election, something else is gonna happen, right?
Uh,
Whether it's something racial, whether it's some sort of, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried another pandemic or something like that, or some other sickness to keep people at home so they don't go vote in person.
well,
Um,
maybe that's what they were working on that lab, and
hey,
God knows what other labs.
yeah, yeah, and it's like, so I don't put it past them that something is gonna happen and the media is gonna do what they do best, right? And you know, we don't have all the answers, but we're not gonna fall for that bullshit neither. So, you know, if you're tuning into us, we're gonna give you reality, right? We're not gonna buy into the manipulation. We're not gonna fall for it for all that garbage they feed the people. And you know, I think that's why, when we do things like this, when if you don't follow Anthony, he reports a lot of news like daily. So follow Anthony. He does a good job. We had Chingo Bling on. He's using his platform, and he does weekly shows too, where he's trying to give people, you know, going against the narrative. And you see, like you said, Jason Aldean. You see Ice Cube speaking up about it more. Kanye's been speaking about it. So more and more people are gonna speak up, right? And more people, I think now, aren't gonna fall for it, but I still believe they're gonna try something.
Yeah, but it's gonna fall flat on its face. That's gonna be the difference now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm pretty confident to say, mark my words. When it comes down again, it I could be completely wrong, but if they try another pandemic with all the news that's coming out about the lies and the deception, the fake science that they put out, um, it I like I said, I could be wrong, but I've told my wife, I was like, the people aren't going to fall for it again. You know, I saw. Is it Florida? Is it Florida where if you're wearing a mask, you have to have like a doctor's note stating that you have to wear a mask?
I
Did I hear that
think
right?
so. Yeah, I forget where it was, but no, it's either In and Out or Chick-fil-A. I think it's In and
You're
Out.
right. No, 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 no. I think it was Chick-fil-A.
One
I
of
think
them.
it was, yeah. So yeah, 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 yeah. You're right. You're right. So that's where we're going. That's where we're at, as a matter of fact. Is
Hmm.
like if you're wearing a mask,
And
you
with all the
are.
crime, there's certain cities where you can't wear a mask because
Yeah.
of the crime.
Hmm. So
Unbelievable.
that's where we're at now. You're wearing a mask. You need a doctor's note as to why you're wearing a mask.
Hmm.
And you know, they're brave. They're stepping out of the shadows and they're saying, "Hey, that was fake science. Now let's roll with the real science and give me a note as to why you're wearing that mask." Dude, if you look at it in, I forget what year it was, if it was 1917 or something like that, when the bird flu or Spanish flu, I forget what freaking flu it was. Um, they tried the whole mask thing and it didn't work. And that's in 1917. And I don't care what type of technology they had, in 1917 and 2023,
Hmm.
where these cloth masks or whatever they're made out of, it doesn't matter. It's a mesh. And I don't care what type of mesh you use or breathable cloth, unless it's not breathable. It's gonna go through it. It's gonna soak up, and it's gonna go through. A
Yeah.
virus is I don't know how many microns in those masks. I don't care how good you make it. If it's completely sealed, made out of plastic, where nothing comes out, you're gonna suffocate and you're gonna die. So unless it does that, something's gonna go through it. And they knew this in 1917.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Even well, Fauci knew right from the get that they didn't work, and he still went along with it.
Well, the
So
words came out of his mouth from the
yeah.
beginning. Hey, there's no need for them. And something happened in between. He got talked to, and his tune changed, and it changed many, many, many times.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think this is Christian. He said Mayor Eric Adams found out the hard way. And it's like, yeah, it's true. Especially it's going now with all the illegals they have, all the they don't know what to do with them. But when he was campaigning, he's like, come on over. You know?
Yeah. Now am I mistaken when I say that he just had a press conference
Yeah.
and said that this was a crisis? He started calling a crisis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
He did.
he's starting to flip. He's starting to sound like a conservative now.
Yeah. 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 You would think he was the way he's talking now.
Yeah.
But
And he was talking about opening up the mansion, the mayor's mansion, to the illegals, and I think of course he backed out of it, but he was still asking for people to take him in. Very typical.
yeah, and then the people's tax dollars in New York, right? They gotta front that bill. But hey, that's what they voted for. But I agree with this. Fauci needs to be in prison.
Yeah, and he is being protected by the elites. That is
Exactly.
true.
Yeah, he's been quiet too. He's been real quiet. I haven't seen him. He's hiding.
Well, I don't know, man. Is there's certain people that told him, be ready when we start subpoenaing, so sending out the subpoenas for all the documentation and all the paperwork.
Hmm.
And he started piping down real good.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, he's been quiet. So we'll see how that all plays out. Um, but again, there's a lot of people that are gonna combat whatever the media tries to do, whatever the Democrats try to manipulate with. It's not gonna work. And kind of going into the next topic is, the out of the Republican voters, the Hispanics are the ones that heavily favor Trump. So,
Yes.
so it
I
says, go ahead.
I would take that as a smart meter, a smart poll. It's like Hispanics are winning on that one.
Yep, yep. So I got this from again from Anthony. So if you're not following him, follow him because he helps. He breaks a lot of things that if people miss. Anthony's like, I think someone commented, follow the story behind the story. Like Anthony will give you both. So follow him for sure. But you know, it says they're leading white voters by double digits on their support for Trump, the Hispanics,
Mm.
and it's like,
Is this
yeah,
national or
this
is
is
it?
so the question is, if asked to potential Republican primary voters, so they asked the Republicans, if the election for the Republican nominee for president were held today, which candidate would you most likely vote for? So, majority altogether, 54% said Donald Trump as the
Mhm.
Republican candidate. And then as you go and break it down, Hispanics are the highest supporters of Donald Trump. So
Nice.
to me, that's super encouraging because, as we said before, it's like, we're conservative naturally, you
Yeah.
know, and we people are seeing behind all the BS. And if you kind of what you said right on the videos we did about why we're not Democrat, right? You said you go down your values and you start to notice, well, hey, I'm aligned more on this side than the other
Yeah.
side. You know what I mean? So I think that's why all these indictments are coming through, because I think they know they're screwed. Because when Trump gets in there, you know, you don't think he's gonna, like you said, subpoena some people. They're scared. They're scared. That is the
You
only reason
know,
they're indicting Trump.
the bad thing for them, for the Democrats that are attacking them right now,
Mhm,
it's a boomerang. And the boomerang is that what they're doing to him right now, once everything, goes away, he's reelected, that boomerang is going to come back around. And it's going
mhm,
to be accepted when he does it to them because they were doing it to him.
mhm,
So if, let's say, for example, on his first term, if he went at him, it would look like a political hit, him going after them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now that they did all of this to him, you know, it had never happened in history, but they did it to him in many
Yeah.
ways. First president to be indicted, blah blah blah.
Impeached
You can
twice.
go down, impeached twice. You can go down the list, right?
Yeah.
But when it boomerangs back around,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be accepted, and that's when the shit's gonna hit the fan for them.
Yeah.
That's just my take. That's just like thinking 2, 3 steps ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, dude. I to me, it's like a second term Trump is gonna be, you know, as the young kids say, lit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That I
Yeah.
wanted a second term Trump. He didn't have to worry about none of that other
Well,
BS.
he's gonna take the gloves off. He's gonna throw them out, you know, and he's gonna start wailing, and people are gonna be cheering him on. He's like,
I
let's
think
go Gitmo. Let's open the doors to Gitmo. You know, start making some flights out to Gitmo. You know, start loading up the planes
yeah, man, for real. It's I
because
think
people don't realize this, but it's kind of like what we're talking about that lab. It's not a small story. That's a huge freaking story. You know what I mean? So um, when all of this comes out, all the RussiaGate stuff that um, they were trying to throw at him, and it's being proven in court that it wasn't. Um, that boomerang is gonna be lit. It's gonna be on fire.
it'll be very lit.
Yeah.
Dude, it's funny because I think he recently said too, if he got locked up, he was still gonna run.
He'd be from 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 prison.
Dude, that would be he would too. Damn.
He's gonna be like one of those characters from the TV shows or movies, the Italian mobsters running things from inside the prison. Oh goodness gracious!
Oh man.
No, but right now, Melinda, hi, how you doing?
Oh, we got to get her back on because
Yeah,
I think she's them and Luca. They're doing more stuff, so we're definitely gonna try to get Melinda back on in maybe this month. Yeah.
yeah. No, some big things happen in New Mexico recently. So there's big news coming out of New Mexico that obviously are going to affect the national circuit. So hopefully other states start doing what they're doing out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Really. But no, that's encouraging to see that the Hispanic people are the majority of the supporters of Trump right now when it comes to Republican voters. So that's good. And then another thing that Democrats should really be worried about. It goes into that how you brought it up before and I don't know it like by heart, but it's like tough times make strong men. Uh ah, I
Times make weak men.
Yeah. So, and I think we said before we're at the point where, you know, some strong men are starting to like be developed, right? Because they're going through this and
Mhm.
they're seeing it. So this right here, I saw this and I was like, what? It caught me by surprise a little bit. So this is according to The Hill. Political identities of 12th grade boys. It's way conservative. So, you know, talking about making strong men, it's like, boys end up being men, right? They
Mhm.
they're right now men in general, right? They get belittled, they get treated bad, we're called toxic and whatever, right? Every label. But at the end of the day, men are men. And we have, manly instincts, right? To protect, provide, and to do all that stuff. It's like natural in us, it should be.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
things like this prove it. Like you got you got, you know, 12th grade boys, you're talking about, 17, 16, 17, 18 years old, and they're identifying more as conservative than liberal by a lot.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
the
yeah.
gap there isn't even close. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I love it. It's it's one of those things where remember I used that example of there's the boiling frog. So if you have a pot of water and it's cold and you put a frog in there and you light um, the stove and it starts heating up, the
Hmm.
frog won't jump out because it's like a slow burn and it doesn't, I don't know, something in it doesn't detect that it's getting hot and it ends up being frog soup, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
But if you have a pot with boiling water and you throw the frog in there, it jumps out right away, right?
right.
So I take that example to what's happening right now. They went so freaking extreme that men are just boys, young men
Yeah,
are rejecting it.
yeah.
Like, whoa, man, you guys just went off your rocker. There's something going on here. So I attribute that to this result right here.
Hmm.
They just went hard left. They
Hmm.
damn near made a U-turn. They went so hard left, you know.
No, and I mean,
So
and that's why they want to shut down, like, um, people like, a lot of people don't like Ben Shapiro, but at the end of the day, like, he's got the attention of young people, right? You got Charlie Kirk, you got people like, what's his name, Andy Frisella, that does
mhm,
the Real AF podcast. They're
mhm,
just motivating men to like be better, basically.
yeah. There's
And
nothing wrong with being a man. That's what
not,
they're is what they're trying to say. There's
exactly.
nothing wrong with being a man. You're not okay. I mean, you're okay if you got some testosterone in you. It's like you don't have to, your estrogen levels can't don't need to be higher. So yeah, and you're right. Pay attention for TV shows and movies. For the longest time, it's been many many years that they portray men as dumb, stupid, the stupid
Mm,
husband, the dumb jocks and stuff like that. It's like no, you can be strong. You could be a strong man and be smart at the same time.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think you know it's nice to see that young men are waking up, and you never know. Sometimes these parents, these are starting to talk to their kids, and um, making being a bigger influence in their life, kind of like what we talk about,
Mm-hmm.
and leading them in the right path. It goes to show you that when the school system starts, going too hard on the left, it kind of wakes them up, and it makes them correct it, and go, wait a minute,
Mm,
what you're seeing in school and what they're teaching you is way too hard left, and then it starts making parents wake up and talk to their kids. That could be another thing too. We did a podcast and we showed the numbers of how many people are homeschooling their kids, and it skyrocketed, right?
mm-hmm.
Maybe that's contributing to that too.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's true. And more parents are more involved, and yeah, talking to their kids about things. They're not getting that full spin from their school teacher or whatever the curriculum agenda has. You know what I mean? And yeah, you homeschool, like I said, I've said it before. We homeschool,
Mhm.
and our kids aren't exposed to none of that. All that crazy stuff that thousands, millions of kids are exposed to every day. You know,
Yeah.
and it's all in the name of what, equality, or who knows, right? Whatever title they give it. That's another thing we talked about. They like to use words. They're selective, so that it makes you feel like, oh, okay, yeah, they're you know they're just trying to be nice. They're trying to be good people in a sense.
It's a mind fuck because they, like, to your point, then it's in the name of good, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But it's a disguise. it's a Trojan horse,
Mm-hmm.
because it's meant to. We'll use the boys as an example. Is that it's supposed to make you feel like you're not okay. There's something wrong with you if you don't conform to what the image that they're trying to build you in.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up, it's difficult for whether it's a boy or a girl, because it's so confusing. There's so many things going on, and they want to overload you. They want to overwhelm you, like you said earlier in the beginning of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Is they want to overwhelm you, and it's difficult enough just being a normal kid growing up with going through kindergarten all the way through 12th grade and stuff like that. There's so much that goes on, and they imagine them packing all of this into you. No wonder there's so many kids that have depression, and have to take medication for depression and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. If we run a poll compared to kids that grew up in the 70s and 80s to now, dude, it's astronomical, the difference that the kids are in medication. It's
Yeah.
insane.
It's like you see those videos, right? Those reels or whatever. And it's a guy and he's pretending to be from this generation, and then he bumps into the wall.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh,
the from the like 80s, the kid doesn't care. 90s kind of just looks at the wall. And then, basically as you get closer to this era, it's like he hits the wall and then he falls, start crying kind of thing. And it's like, yeah,
and takes a selfie at the same time with duck lips. You know,
it's
this is what
ridiculous.
happened to me.
But no, like, like it's that boomerang, right? That boomerang effect. It's gonna come back the other way. And it's about trying to, once it comes back this way, it's trying to sustain it. You know what I mean? I think too, people get too comfortable.
It's gonna
Or
be a cycle, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
Um, it's gonna get better.
I think if people are more aware, yeah, it is a cycle, right? It's like that give and take. Like you're there's gonna be points where, like right now, you got all that stuff going, right? But it's gonna come back this way, and then
Hmm.
eventually it'll go back that way, right? I
Hmm.
think what we have to do is understand that, okay, yeah, that probably will happen, but we can't let it get to these extremes. We let that boomerang go way too far. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say?
but what's the key to sustaining it though? And it's things that we have talked about in the past, is that the same old people can't stay in those positions for a long period of time. The
Hmm.
the key is to have term limits.
Term
Um,
limits, and then also along with that, obviously what we talked about too is parent involvement all the way
yeah.
through.
Hmm.
You know, not just relying on the school system, because
Yeah.
I think that we hit on that in the first or second episode, but I think that's what happens is people rely 100% on the school system because they don't really understand it, maybe, and or
No,
it's
it's a
being
trust
naive,
factor.
right?
It's a trust factor, because it's like, why in the world would they try to be? Why in the world would they take advantage of us? Why would they lead us in the wrong path? Why
Hmm.
would they do this? Why would they do that? Now that they know that they will lead you in the wrong path with bad intentions,
Hmm.
is that's what we have to remember.
Yeah,
So that's why all these people that are brought up in with the cheating that goes on, and they get put into positions of power. That's what we have to work on.
selected.
Yep. Not elected, but selected. Yep.
Yeah,
So that's what needs to change in
yeah.
order to sustain it.
Hmm. Yeah. So, and I think the you learn through it, right? So that when it does come around, or when it tries to come around, there's more of a fight, right? I think
Mhm.
we said this before also, but you're not fighting just for now, you're fighting for the future,
Yeah.
right? You're trying to correct things ahead of time, because right now it's like we're going through what we're going through, right? It is kind of, it is what it is. But we can either not do anything, or we can, do something about it, say something about it. You know what I mean? And I think that's the where the people get involved and they know that, okay, I got to speak up, right? I got to go
Mhm.
to this school board meeting. I got to go to, the Capitol and see what kind of legislation they're trying to pass today.
Yeah.
If I got to object, I'm gonna go object. So, that's a lot of things that I've been seeing too, like online, the people that I follow,
Mhm.
they'll be at the Capitol objecting things. They're calling out these bills. It's more and more people are getting activated,
Yeah,
and
they're getting out of the shadows. We're finally realizing. Look at that poll. We're realizing that we aren't the minority.
hmm
So you could tell us that we're the minority um, as much as you want. We know we're not now.
yeah,
Everybody knows we're not.
yeah,
Like I told you, I could walk, to any of my neighbors right now, and I know that they would agree with what's happening politically right now. You can't deny it anymore.
hmm
That's where we're at, and
yeah,
they know
yeah, and then they're scared, and we got
that.
a
So
year. We'll see what's up. We'll see what happens. Yeah, but I think those kind of seeing those numbers, those stories, those polls, and all that, like it's encouraging. I think that you say you like to focus on the positive. To me, those are positives, right? Um, we just gotta find those labs. See what's going on with that.
guaranteed, there's more of those.
Oh yeah,
Guaranteed.
easily.
And you know, there's so much good things going on right now. It's it's kind of crazy. It's like when Trump said, a storm is brewing or something like that, and it's like, um, man, it's gonna start storming pretty bad for him. There's so many things happening right now. It's unraveling
hmm
for them right now.
hmm
So I think after this indictment, falls through the cracks again, it's like, what else are they gonna do? You know?
They're getting desperate. Dude. It's like it's desperate and it's like lazy because you can, if you pay attention to it even a little bit, you'll see all the BS surrounding it. You know what I mean? Like if you
Yeah,
just take a little peek, it's so obvious at this point that like that's how desperate they are. It's like they're just you know, it's like they're just throwing shit and see what sticks, pretty much at this
literally.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. So, you know, well, it's funny. It's like it's not funny, but it's funny. But um, but yeah, that's all I got, man.
oh man, no, it's definitely encouraging, and like we always talk about, just focusing on the positive.
hmm
So I hope everybody that has doubts and feels like we are the minority. I hope you're slowly or quickly starting to see and understand that we aren't. Hey, and another thing that would help is that if you happen to be feeling that way, it's almost like a green light to start conversations
hmm
with people and being a little bit more open about it. If you've been apprehensive about having a conversation like that,
hmm
it's like you shouldn't be anymore. I
Yeah.
gave you an example about my friend that he wasn't having it. So it's interesting. It actually, watch, it correlates with the poll that you just had. So he's got a 16-year-old son or 17-year-old son and 11 or 12-year-old son. So he never talked to him about stuff like that. And I shared with him that I would talk. He knows my son, so I shared that I would talk to him and I would, in a sense, deprogram him when he got out of high school You know, I would talk about what, you know, he learned in school and what he thought about it and basically deprogram him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So check this out. I haven't asked him, but what are the chances of him now talking to his teenage sons
Mm-hmm.
about it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you think about it, it's like, you know, I was slowly talking and introducing this person, you know, about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And now what is the likelihood that he's talking to his kids about it? So it's like a domino effect. So I was talking to one person, maybe trickles down to three people immediately, directly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what if he's talking to someone else that he usually, you know, he wouldn't have a conversation about this? And then what if that person talks to another person? And that's how, you know, it spreads like fire.
Yeah. No, and that's why, like, you know, even because like a lot of the conversations, discourse happen in social media now. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And it's even like, if you verbally are still kind of, you know, not that you're afraid to say it, but you don't want to say it yet, you know. Well, hey, that's so you got people like us. We post clips all the time about what we say here. If there's something you agree with, it resonates with you, share it. Because there's a lot of people that have you know hundreds of friends. You know what I mean? Or hundreds of thousands of people see their content, see their pages, and it's like if you got that kind of following, I encourage you to you know not be afraid and speak up, whether it's you saying something or you just simply posting something that kind of sheds a little bit of light, right? And again, at this point, you know people need to understand that none of this is done in a negative way. You know what I mean? It's like, look, this is what I believe in. This is what I feel. This is what I want to say, and you should be able to say it. And
Yeah.
regardless, again, if you land on the other side, you land on this side. We're on. At the end of the day, you should be able to say and what you believe, and you know stick to
Yeah.
it. Whatever you believe, you don't be afraid to speak up on it.
You just reminded me of something that I've said at work quite a bit is that so no matter what position you have in in whatever industry that you work in, you've got decision making power,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And sometimes people look at me and like, what are you talking about? I have to report to a person and you know they're the ones that make the decisions. But no, everybody's got decision making power. And it's what you think and what you observe and what your opinions are, what your take is, and in your delivery. So if you've got a supervisor and you tell them something, right, an observation that they may have missed, you've got power
Hmm.
to make a decision or change a decision that they've made. So you influence
Hmm.
what that person is going to do or implement, right?
Right.
And I'm just using that as an example because I've used it at work. And I've had people that go, damn, I didn't realize that I actually, the way that you put it, I actually do have decision making power.
Hmm.
So it goes to what we're talking about right now is if you talk to someone, whether it's a family member, friend, or an acquaintance or whatever, and you deliver a message, whether it's sharing something or the way that you um, articulate what you're saying to them in the message, you have decision making power. Is
Hmm.
that you might spark a fire in them, or give them a different perspective, where they might change the way that they think. So you've got decision making power, and not to say that you're trying to manipulate them in the way that you think, but just if they're if we understand that we're being manipulated and have been manipulated for many years, do you want someone else that you know and care about to be manipulated? I would
Hmm.
say that that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's like wake them up from that slumber.
Yeah. Yeah. And then again, if you got any friend or whatever that can't give you that respect, for maybe having a different opinion, different beliefs, then, maybe it's not your friend. Because, at the end of the day, like Danny said, it's like you're not trying to, influence them in a way to completely change their mind or whatnot. But maybe there's things they haven't thought of or put into consideration that, you know, maybe you're thinking about or you saw and go, hey, maybe this makes sense. And like Danny said, you sparked something. But, you know, but if you don't, then, you just never know, right? You don't, you stay quiet and that does nothing. That's what I was saying last time. Silent majority. Yeah, that we gotta get loud.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like we're the silent majority anymore with those polls. So now
Nope.
it's just got to reflect on voting, and all of that depends on whether they're going to be able to cheat this time around or not. So, and it's not just presidential elections; it's just elections in general.
Yeah, yeah.
So local
Especially
local
local stuff.
elections.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
So
All right. Well, for everybody that tuned in, everybody that dropped some comments on this one, we appreciate it. Share the show, hit subscribe, all that good stuff that, you probably hear from everybody else. Yeah.
yeah,
Help us out if you can. But, we're here. We're going to continue this. And, I think I'm going to call this one Out of the Shadows because that's what we need people to do.
yeah, yeah.
For sure.
Step out. Look, I'm in a big ass shadow right now, and I'm gonna step out right now.
Go into the light, Danny.
It got dark on me, man.
It did. It did. It's getting dark quicker. So
What
we'll
time
see.
is it? 8:20.
8:20. All right, then. Well, hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.